of Sunday, where you stand at this point. Clearly, you felt the team was wronged on Sunday. Do you see that? Fee said she'll never forget it. Are you with her on that?
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's the unfortunate part. Trying to keep the focus on the players today is where I was. I think it's probably best. Unfortunately, I have experience in this, and I have a lot of feelings about it. But I think probably today would want to focus on the players in this season, because I think something like this, soiling, the amazing, season that we had, and we all know. I mean, I don't need to say anything. We all know what happened. At this point, it's, spending our time, the last 5 hours, spending our time, just looking forward and what's next for us.
I think it was, I can't remember now who said it. One of the players said that even yesterday, after the physicals, all the team just said we got to go out and have dinner together, just because we don't want this kind of chemistry to end.
Yeah.
We've talked all year about that chemistry.
Yeah.
And you got your starting 5 under contract for next year, but there will be some changes. When you see what chemistry can do, does that affect the way you go about changing this roster with whatever changes you deem necessary?
Yeah, it's not unlike most off seasons. We got more intentional after we got a little more lax with, coming out of the bubble season. We were looking for some things, and, maybe we didn't have all the information that we are, made a conscious return to prior to this year, so last off season. Because we have the group that we have, we will scrutinize, absolutely. We don't think we need major changes. But as you said, there will be changes, because it's never the same 12 players. We have, a couple free agents. We have an expansion draft. And so we'll have to, sort of start to cross those bridges. And, I think each season is so different. So to expect that just because you have the same starting 5 back, that it's going to be the same magical, whatever, it's really hard to recreate what this season was, this journey was. Doesn't mean that it can't be another special journey, but it's just going to look different. People change, people maybe, want something a little different than what they had last year. So all the places that we were special, and, I know I shouted out Diamond, Peely, Ollie, just in terms of their situations were hard when they're not seeing the floor at all, and the toll that it can take on you. The maturity that Diamond and Ollie, in particular, as young players, in this world that we live in, with all the noise on social media and the places that they frequent, it can be really hard to be mature and not think of yourself and how you're feeling, and then therefore that impacts the team, and it weighs on the team, and it pulls and tugs at the group, and it becomes a drain. And so it was really special. Ollie, like maybe as a vet you can understand it, but sometimes vets are the hardest people, teammates to be around, because they have an opinion of themselves. And I think having those types of people are what made it go. And I really, that was one of the first things I said post-game, was that watch Ollie on our bench, watch Peely throughout the season, Diamond, who went from starting to being out of the rotation completely by the time it got to the end. Watch Ollie's engagement as they came off the floor. Watch Ollie, telling the coaches, when somebody gets a foul before they even have it written down, that's 3 fouls on BC. So engaged in the game, or a matchup that she liked, or those are the things that, like for me, like you remember all the great times of the play and the basketball, et cetera. But those things, that never leaves you. Those memories never leave you, because it's part of what made it so special. And so we're going to have changes there, and we hope to emulate that mature behavior once again, because it's worth points in a game, wins in a season, and that's what you saw from us this year.
You're heading into kind of an unprecedented off season coming up. You got the expansion draft to prepare for. I don't know if you can speak to any specifics on what your thinking has been there, but also with this opt-out by the PA, this I mean, there's going to be a lot of people out there looking for one-year deals. Do you anticipate a lot of movement, and how do you approach what could be almost like a Wild West situation?
Yeah. I think with regard to free agency, we've known this for a while. It's been a few years now that players were signing shorter contracts. Nobody wanted to get past 25 in anticipation of an opt-out. So that's not a surprise to us, the opt-out. And I think, we've been in this space of, shorter contracts, et cetera. I don't know what percentage of the league, 85, 90% of the league is going to be unrestricted. It is unprecedented, so I don't have any idea, in terms of navigating. We just want to take care of our players. And we've always believed in that. We don't want to be a team that has to use a core on players. We want to be a team that has players that want to be here and on their own volition. And so I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. When we we have also, players that are, moving from their prime to the latter part of their prime. And so, that's the couple years from now. It's a long ways away from now. And we are well positioned for next year, and that's our focus.
Coach, related to that, we've heard players come in here today, and each one touch on how much this organization, means to them, and just how much they love being a Lynx and being part of this culture. And unsurprisingly, K-Mac has a lot to gush about. Just how much this organization means to her. And I just remember last year when she got her new contract, you mentioned K-Mac is at the root of all of the good that happens for us. Just the bond between K-Mac and this organization has always been very strong. But just how gratifying was it for that bond continue to grow this season, especially with kind of the special season that she had on the floor?
Yeah, I mean that's what you're happy when someone like K-Mac experiences the joy of playing. I will always remember K-Mac, and I will always use her as an example of a veteran treating the young players that she did last year the way she did. They're on the court with her, and it would have been very easy for K-Mac to be frustrated with all the mistakes that Diamond and Dorka were making on the court. And her decision, conscious decision, to lead and enjoy leading and going through the lumps together is something I will always remember. It's one of the greatest examples of who she is. She's a big sister. That's what she is, by nature, and she comes from, the oldest, and has the youngest that's just going off to college now. I'm sure she draws on those experiences, and the investment she makes in her siblings is the same thing that I saw the investment she was making in the young players in Diamond and Dorka. And then, this team, I think the ways that she understands the game, the freeness that she approached the game with this year, the joy, shooting the basketball and, having the run that she did percentage-wise, it was unbelievable. Yeah. The shots that she was making and her preparation, work ethic, who she is as a teammate, all those things, it just makes you really happy. When it all, things that you say that could happen for a player, when it all happens, makes you feel pretty darn good. And, being an all-star, being second team, those things are huge. They're not small. And, happy for K-Mac that she feels about the organization the same way we feel about her.
And also going, back to the beginning of this season, you had mentioned the great season overseas that BC had last year. We talked with her today. She's going to the same team in Hungary, getting started there in 2 weeks. Was that a conversation that you had with her? And is that, going to that where a place where she's already had success, how helpful can that be for her to continue to evolve and take another step with the Lynx next season?
Yeah, I still have a couple more interviews, and she's one of them. But there's, logically speaking, I think that the evolution for her to go from the season last year there, the WNBA the season she had, I suspect that team in Hungary is very excited to see her because she's going to be even better than what she was last year. And she was a big reason why they were successful last year. And so to get that back, I'm sure they're super excited. And, BC will always just continue to get better and grow. And, I'm happy for her because she's been patient and finally, in year 6, when it gets to this place of she got the opportunity to be a starter, she made the absolute most of it.
Cheryl, you mentioned how Diamond went from a starter to basically not playing at the end of the year. Was she ever really healthy after she came back from the knee injury? And I wonder how much that may have hindered her development and her ability to get back into the rotation.
Yeah, I think she got to that place. I mean, it was, I have to kind of go back and remember the timing of it, but I know she worked her tail off to get back for the start of training camp, coming off the off-season surgery. And then I can't remember exactly the timing of it, but I know we played a few games. And then she had, we were actually in Connecticut. We played a few games, and she tweaked the knee in Connecticut. And, I can't remember exactly, which knees and all that stuff, but I just know that she was out. When she came back from that, I do think she would tell you that she felt healthy. I don't think the knee was a hindrance. I think it just was, I think for her from a playing standpoint, to go from not playing in the offseason to coming back from the injury, get back on the court again, and then have it interrupted again, it stunted, the growth, the momentum that we needed to go from year one to year two. So I don't think health was a reason at the point you're talking about later in the season. No.
Okay, what's the plan for her in the off season? Is she going to Europe?
She is.
What's she doing?
Yeah, she is. And you're testing me right now. Where she's going, Poland. She'll be in Poland playing for a good organization in Poland. It's an important off season for her. She's really chomping at the bit to play, and so we're hopeful for her that she has a good, strong, healthy off season to carry into 2025.
Looking back throughout the season, a lot of good memories from the squad. And you look back to like the Commissioner's Cup through the playoffs. What are some of the best memories, favorite moments that come to your mind?
It's such a long season, guys. I think about training camp seems like 3 years ago. That Olympics in the middle of all that. I think for me, like the memories are the interactions on court for sure. Like some of the relationships of going through battles together and learning about, on the fly where I'm learning about some of the new players that we got and who we are as a team, navigating and trying to tweak, improve, et cetera. And just that journey of, the connections with the players. I think a lot of it's probably off court too, when I say off court, away from the game. Practice situations and, some of the, we had a funny team. There was a lot of humor. As you can imagine, Courtney and T were at the forefront of most of it. But my memories are just around the connection that they had, their belief in each other, and their, no matter what, they bounced back, no matter what. And whether it was me challenging them, at halftime, we have some good memories. This team was really, really good about taking some moments that were maybe difficult, maybe a coach-player type difficult moments, turning that into situations or moments of levity where they laughed about it later. That to me was such a great sign of a team, and they didn't hold on to anything, anything, and instead, it became like the butt of jokes. Remember when you did this? It happened. I wouldn't remember, and then they would like, "You don't remember?" Da da da, and they would laugh about different things that happened. That was just a special thing because a lot of times players hang on to stuff or they don't recover, from stuff, and I think this group was really special in that way. I had a lot of fun coaching this team.
Okay, and then looking forward, we've already talked about the upcoming prep, but when I had asked Fee and K-Mac about their work rest cycle for the off season, takes a lot of rest before they start building up for next year. As a coach, what do you do to from now until you have to start building for next year? Do you take any time off? What do you do to rest and get refocused and unplug?
This season is very different. This off season that just started actually hasn't officially started. When I walk out of here and finish my last two, it'll officially start. Very different than last off season, in that even prior to the end of last season, we were already working on the off season. As you can imagine, this has been a lot in this year, and so you won't be able to find me for a while. My wife and my kid got concerned when I said that, but I don't know you'll be able to find me. But I won't be around. I won't be out. I won't be. I need to shut down. And whatever that brings, I'm not going to let myself move immediately into 2025. And so I can't tell you exactly when that will happen. We will be ready for the expansion draft. We will do what's necessary. Claire will take on a bigger role because again, I'm going to truly shut down for the first time, and I don't know how long. Very, very long time.
Cheryl, looking back on this season, breaking attendance records, having kind of the whole city rally behind the Lynx.
Yeah.
Just, you've been here for a long time. What was that like this season? Was it different than the last championships teams, or was it just kind of a special moment?
Yeah, I think the evolution of the league into the space that it got into in terms of the popularity, even before the season started, when Caitlin Clark announced that she was going to enter the draft, I remember, obviously I'm connected to the business side, and the wave of enthusiasm that came from a player that wasn't even going to play for the Lynx. And, we certainly knew some of the other players that were going to be in this draft. So there was a lot of excitement and momentum for the WNBA, but to see it actually translating business-wise across the league, whatever the reasons were, there's a lot of, as we all know, there's one really big reason, and then there's a lot of other reasons why. And I think the movement that we're in now, I think it's exciting. I think that for me, one of my biggest takeaways from this season is what you just said, with a number of times that I heard fans talking about being in bars, in the Twin Cities, and maybe not accustomed to the game, their willingness to put a game on, because that's a battle when we try to watch women's sports. When we go into just a bar, it's hard to find it, or even a willingness to put it on. To learn the frequency with which the games were on, sound on, people gathering together, having watch parties, as the season moved on, and we were, achieving the success that we were achieving, especially in the playoffs. The way the city supported us in terms of, signage, throughout the city. And unfortunately, no, the other teams didn't have that. They didn't. And that's a travesty when you think about it. And Jim Pete always said it. Man, people have no idea what they're missing. And we're going to look back on this and go, how in the heck? But it happened in the NBA too. There's some great players that were playing in front of 2,000 people back in the NBA, back in the day. And so for me, that was a big thing, a part of the identity of the season for the Minnesota Lynx was, as we know, business-wise, one of the best years that we've ever had. But then also support-wise from the community, throughout the community, whether it was in arena or anywhere we went. The interest in the team and the buzz, was palpable. So that's part of what made it special too. Sorry we couldn't get a chance to celebrate one more time together with a parade. We were looking forward to that opportunity. But hopefully, fans know how we felt about them and how much we appreciated, because they were a big part of our success.
And then Cheryl, this one's just switching gears a little bit, but every player that has come to this podium has just spoken of just how much trust they have in you, your leadership, how much they enjoy being here. As kind of the head of the organization, the head coach, what does that feel like, hearing that kind of feedback from your players so consistently?
Yeah, I always like context, so I don't know how you guys set the question up. Like sometimes I'll be like, well, what the hell are they supposed to say? Are they gonna tell you, she sucks? And I think we pride ourselves on trying to be an organization that is rooted in trust, and that if we tell you something's going to happen, it's going to happen, and it's going to happen, in the grandest way possible. And so we've just, tried to lead in that way because that's how we want them to be. We want them to have, what we have as a staff, we want our players to have. And everything is rooted in trust. It's rooted in a passion for what we do. And you don't ever want those two things to be questioned. And so I'm happy that it's coming through for them and that they trust us a little bit.
Fee sat there a little while back and said she's never going to forget what happened at the end of Game 5, and she said it in a way that kind of gave you the feeling like she's kind of on a mission now. She's improved every year. She's gotten better at everything that she does. She took a break, a step, I think, even in the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
But what should the league be ready for if Fee is really on this mission?
Yeah. Well, like when you go through something like this and you don't really have a choice but to accept it, the outcome. You can know that it was an injustice. But at the end of the day, it's always how you handle things. Always. And one of the things that we told the team afterwards is like, you wish you could give them a good answer as to why it happened. Some of the things that ensued following the game were really unfortunate. That makes you question or feel let down by your league. But at the end of the day, one of the things that we told our team that the only choice we have is to use it as fuel. And that's not something I have to talk Fee into because I felt exactly the same when I was looking into her eyes after the game. How not disappointed, how angry, and to feel like something was maybe going to burn inside of her. But that's what players have. I mean, there's different things that bring motivation. USA basketball is always a great motivation when you don't make the team. It's well documented. People use it. And so there's moments in people's career that maybe this is one, that catapults her. It's already a great space that she's been in. She was the best player on the floor in the finals, which is pretty incredible. I'm super proud of all the ways that she's improved, but I am super excited about what's next for Fee.
Just a moment ago, you were mentioning about the business aspect of things, and this is the first season where you're able to charter flights instead of being on commercial. Can you just discuss about the importance of that in league growth and also in preparation for the team?
Yeah, I mean, it's a game changer. We've known it for years. I'm thrilled that it happened in Olympic year because, that would have been really, really hard if we were not chartering this year, with the 40 games, et cetera. I mean, I can speak from my vantage point of how, what I saw, mental health, physical health, things that they didn't have to worry about anymore that would be a drain. And I think it increases the quality of the product for sure. And so came at a good time, glad it happened. There's, to concentrate, players always say that when you come and play for an organization like ours, all you have to worry about is playing. You don't have to worry about where your next meal is going to come from because you've got a chef. You've got all the resources to train basketball-wise, to prepare your body sports performance-wise, nutritionally. Our medical staff, our coaching staff, they literally just show up. Well, that's a big part of charter is a big part of making that happen on a larger picture, that you can now focus on just playing, and that getting to and from a game doesn't have all of the drain, the drag, and I mean, from there, I think that's probably the most obvious thing.
Yeah, Cheryl, it's no secret that this team didn't get a whole lot of national attention pretty much until you got to the finals, and that you guys weren't really happy with that. And a lot of players spoke about using it as motivation throughout the season. Now that you've you've been in the finals, and though you didn't get the result you wanted, a lot of eyeballs are on this team now. What would you like those folks who got to look at you guys for the first time to take away from, or to take away after seeing you?
The folks that saw us for the first time
in the playoffs.
In the playoffs,
that saw the way this team played together and the way it defended and the way it and the way the players were there for each other. I mean, those kind of things.
I mean, I think people that watch this play. I mean, I have heard from people I haven't heard from in years, but inspired by their play, the way that they played, both tactically in terms of coverage and the schemes. So coaches that I haven't heard from for years, and fans that have said the joy that they got from watching our team. And I shared this with our teams. I wanted them to understand the impact that they've had. That's what I think people saw. You know, that it was hard not to tune in to watch this if it was the first time and go, that's a really fun team to watch. And how they do it, you know, is something that draws you to them. And so I mean, I don't necessarily have anything to say to people that are watching for the first time. It's just I think it was palpable, and we made an impression, and it's a style of play that I think people kind of look at and go, we'd like to emulate that, and that's saying something, and I think for our starting point next year will be with greater expectations, but I think the group is ready for that.
Yeah, and you mentioned the other night that this shows that there's another way to do it beside assembling a super team.
Yes.
How much satisfaction, pride do you get in the fact that you did it a different way?
You have no idea.
Try me.
You have no idea. We've been carrying, there's a lot of things that you guys don't know, and you can't know. It's just the way it is, and. Last night was not an impulsive feeling that I had. We have been challenged as an organization to return ourselves to the place that we got to this year. It's been well documented, free agency, et cetera, et cetera. I think to accomplish it in the climate that we're in now is something that I hope our organization understands how hard it is to do. I hope other organizations that see us do things in the way that we have, again, in the climate that we're in, as it seems that things are shifting, rules are shifting, accountability is non-existent, et cetera, that in the market that we're in, and the opportunity that we had to show that you could build a team differently, I think was incredibly important for the WNBA. Incredibly important for those that are also trying to do what we had a chance to do this year. You're welcome.
Get over the disappointment of what happened on Sunday and look at the whole season and appreciate what you guys were able to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's easy to be appreciative of this team and see how special this season was. I think that loss is something I'll never get over. To have it in that way where it just feels super unjust. I don't think that's something that I'll be able to get over. It's different if you feel like you lose a game. But it's really easy to love this team. I mean, we got back yesterday, we had all of our medical, and still we were like, let's go to one last dinner together because we'll never be the same group again. So this team is just really close, and I'm so proud of everything we did this year, and we're so close to getting our goals. So, yeah, it's a really tough ending.
All 5 starters are under contract for next year, so that's good. But like you said, you'll never be this particular group again because there'll be changes. Can you just talk about what it'll take to maintain the kind of chemistry you built this year going forward? Because obviously it starts with you.
Yeah, I think having the majority of us back in all 5 starters is a huge step towards that. And the culture starts with us. We're the majority. We've been here the longest. So bringing that in with any new people we have, just really bringing them under our fold. We have such a solid foundation. So making sure that we see what happens when you have a team that's as close as that. So making sure that we cultivate that for next year.
The last one for me is you talk about the injustice of Game 5. and how it won't ever leave you, can it also be a motivating factor to take the next step?
I mean, it motivates me to never try to have the game that close again where it could be decided by whoever it was decided by. So, yeah.
Fee, I've been asking everyone just, playing in Target Center, you've been here for a while. What was it like playing this season in front of the sellout crowds, athletes of different sports coming out to support, and just kind of lighting that fire in the city? Could you just speak to what that was like?
It was amazing. The crowds that we had, especially, in the final series, breaking records, 19,000 people cheering for you is such a high. It was so fun. And I think it just really epitomizes everything that we always talk about, the Lynx fan base being just always, rooting for us and there for us and showing out for our teams. So that was such an amazing environment. I've never played in front of something like that.
And then last one for me, just, everyone all season have just spoken about how graceful of a leader you are. I wonder if you could just speak of what goes into that. What is kind of that mindset that you bring to bring that type of attitude every game?
I don't know. I mean, I definitely try to bring just my natural personality to the group and try to be the best leader in the ways that I can. I think just taking from who I thought the best leaders in my life were, just taking pieces from them and making it my own, and trying to lead by example a lot with the team. I've definitely trying to be more vocal these past couple years, and I feel like I'm coming into my own in that way. And this was such an easy group. I mean, to be able to have so many people who are so coachable and everyone is down for the same goal. It doesn't matter who gets the recognition. It doesn't matter, we had multiple people have game winners throughout this entire season. Everyone's equally happy for, the success of one is success for all. And that's truly our mindset. So, I just try to kind of bring that.
Fee, you've touched on this a little bit already, but just I'm thinking years from now when people ask you about this, 2024 season of the W and the 2024 Lynx team specifically, what do you think will stand out, for you about this team that will, stand the test of time?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's hard because that last game really tarnishes it, doesn't it? But I think team-wise, this is my favorite team I've ever been on, and I think just the relationships and the bonds that we've formed is something that will stay for a long, long time, for years, forever. So that's something that I'll definitely look back on really positively. Is just the relationships of this year and the team chemistry and just this is how a team is supposed to feel. So I'll remember that forever.
And then in the more short term, obviously Unrivaled is a big undertaking for you in your career. When do you need to be down there to get make sure that thing gets started, and just kind of what's next for you these last few weeks of October and November?
Yeah, so players report January 2nd, but I'll be going early, shortly after Christmas. But yeah, just really, really excited for that. Excited to take some time off and, go on vacation, see my family, be home for the holidays. So just some downtime the next couple of months, weeks.
Well, we know how Sunday ended on a down note, but there were a lot of great moments in this entire season. You look at the Olympics, the Commissioner's Cup. What is a standout positive moment that you have from this season?
I think a couple on the court ones was BC's, game winner in Connecticut was really fun, and then Courtney's game winner tire for the overtime in game one was really fun. Those are just really great because you see the people putting in so much work. And to see them do that in such a huge moment and to get the recognition that they deserve, and just to see the joy for them and their families and for the team, that's really special to see, and they deserve it so much. So it was really fun to witness that and be a part of it, and also just really happy for them because they deserve everything.
Fee, I know you've been asked about your conditioning a lot, but it's still kind of astounding. A lot of players go to the Olympics, they come back, and at some point late in the season they hit a wall. Not only did you not hit a wall, but you played your best basketball in the playoffs. How were you able to do that?
Thank you. I don't know. I mean, I always have tried to keep my body in the best shape that I can, making sure I'm doing my conditioning in the off season. And I really knew that this year was going to be a grind, just really, really hard. So I took that super seriously in the off season. I think I naturally do condition pretty well, but I definitely try to take all the steps that I could to make sure that I was in the top shape that I could be in, because I mean, you know it's going to be a grind, but you don't even know how bad it is until you're in it. So I'm definitely glad that I put that work in this off season.
Yeah, what did you learn about yourself, particularly over the last couple of games of that final series where there was a lot on your shoulders and you had to play really, really well?
Excuse me. I think just being able to push through, because I'm glad you said I didn't hit a wall. It felt like I did. It's really tiring.
You would know better than me.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't look like it.
Yeah. No, I'm glad that, I mean, that's the goal. I feel like where I grew is just mentally is no one, you know, it doesn't matter if you're tired. It doesn't matter, you know, if your body hurts or if anything. Like, it just matters if you show up for your team and you perform. So I really came in with that mindset where, especially in the finals, like, we have so little games left with this team, and we've talked ad nauseum about how special, you know, we think this team is. So you want to give them your best and give them your all. So it was, you know, easy to kind of push past all of that for them. Sorry, guys, I'm getting sick.
Sorry. One just off the court thing that I wanted to ask you about. I know you recently partnered with Opil, the first of its sort of kind, you know, over-the-counter birth control availability. Just what is that, what is that, project in terms of importance to you? How did you get connected with them? And just, like, what is, the message with partnering them and, the goal for that partnership for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's something I'm really excited for. I think just, like, our goals are so aligned, and they're what they stand for. I just so believe in just making sure that, women are up to date on what their options are. They know that, they have something that's affordable, that's accessible, that you can get, that you don't have to talk to a doctor about, especially now when healthcare is, like, not accessible for everybody. And making sure that people are aware of their sexual health. I think for so long there's a stigma around not wanting to talk about that because it's, like, an embarrassing topic. So super excited, because in this off season I'll be going to campuses to talk about it, just to kind of, get rid of that stigma a little bit. Because I think it's so important, especially now in an election year where we're voting right now, to be aware of your sexual and reproductive rights is a really huge thing. So I'm really excited about that.
Just a moment ago, you mentioned in an answer to one of Pat's questions about your conditioning, how you took an extra emphasis in the off season to get into this year. Now that we're at the end of this year, what's your timeline like when it comes to rest versus start to condition for next year, for those of us who don't know?
Yeah, I'll be taking a while off. I mean, just relaxing, like I said. And I have to be ready for January. So I think usually my build-up starts, like, the hard build-up starts about 6 weeks from when I need to be somewhere. And then obviously, like, I'll be focusing on, like, strength training a lot this season, so doing that. But, like, the hard conditioning to get ready for game shape usually starts about a month and a half before I have to be there.
We have time for one final question from the Zoom. Jordan?
Hey, Fee. First, I just want to say congrats on an amazing season. And then this is kind of a fun question. I just want to talk about your outfits throughout the season. You've had some really iconic looks. I guess just talk about who styles you and what was your favorite look from the season.
Kimberly Stewart styles me. And yeah, it's been really fun to just kind of explore that side. It's such a huge part of our game now, culture-wise, is tunnel fit. So it's been fun you wear stuff that you wouldn't, like, necessarily wear in real life. So that's been really fun. My favorite, I don't know. I really like that little pilot-looking outfit jumpsuit that I wore, the blue one with the red shoes. I felt like I was in Top Gun, so that was fun.
Thank you, Fee.
Thank you.